Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about, it's going to be a video response to TheShoeWhisperer, and her video about what happens after you die. I have two reasons for posting this video, and the first one is my opinion on the topic. This is something I kind of struggle with, because I'm an Aries. I live in the moment. I am a thinker, but I have ADD and ADHD, and I tend to get stuck on things like this, and I can't just turn my mind off and think about something else. But because I'm very in the moment, I don't necessarily think about what's going to happen after I die. I kind of have an opinion on it, but I'm not sure in any way, shape, or form, and it's a very abstract thought. Basically, I'm very connected with Native American spiritualities, as you already know, and I buy into the Native American explanation of death, and that is, now this is mostly for the southwestern and the southern Native American tribes. I haven't done a whole lot of study on what the eastern Native Americans believe. But this is what I have become accustomed to and what I believe. And they believe that we're in the fourth world and we're moving into the fifth. That's supposed to happen like sometime within the next 4 or 5 years. That's a whole nother video entirely. But basically what they believe is that when you die, your soul separates from your body. And when it separates from your body goes back into the earth. And it fertilizes Mother Earth, and it will turn into something else, obviously. Now, your soul is a different story. They basically have the worlds can be likened to astral planes, and that sort of form of transcendence. When you pass on, your soul will go through something called a seppuku. And a seppuku is a little hole located inside the ceremonial kiva, which is technically their church. I've had the privilege of going inside of a kiva, multiple kivas actually, on a trip a couple years ago. But they're generally round rooms, and usually right in the center of the floor or right in the center of the ceiling, but more often than not it's in the floor, in my experience. It's a little hole, and there's a little pictograph of a man kind of diving into the hole. And what that symbolizes is your spirit will leave your body, and it will go into the seppuku. And when it does, kind of on the levels of reincarnation, if you've accomplished what you were supposed to accomplish in this lifetime, and you've achieved a high enough state of consciousness, you will move up a level, basically, onto a higher astral plane, into a higher state of consciousness, basically, and a higher frequency of existence. If you didn't achieve this higher state, then you would stay on this plane. And you can actually choose to go back down to lower planes of existence. I don't know why you would, but you can. And more ascended people can actually go back to help others move up. That would be sometimes the medicine men or the shamans and people like that will be people that have passed on. They've achieved a higher level. They could even have gotten all the way to the Ascendant Master's level, but they have chosen to come back down a couple levels to teach us how to transcend. That's another story entirely. But you can move up. You can move up levels if you have learned what you were supposed to, or you can move down levels. I don't know what's on the higher level. And I don't think it really matters. I know I would describe it as a better place if it's at a higher state of consciousness and it's at a higher frequency. So I mean, other than that, I don't really have an opinion. I don't believe in hell. I don't think that the lower planes of existence are necessarily worse. They're just on a lower vibrational frequency. So I guess, therefore, they would be worse, but I don't think that's hell. I guess in a way that means I believe in reincarnation, because you would come back to this world if you didn't learn what you were supposed to, or you chose not to. You chose to stay and help other people. So that's what I think on that. And the second reason I made this response was just to share my funny story about it. Because I have ADD and ADHD, I can't necessarily shut my brain off to things like this. When I get going on a philosophical tangent, I can't stop. And it's not that I don't want to, I physically can't. And I went back and I watched her video yesterday to reformulate what I had to say on the topic, and I ended up thinking about it all night until like 6:30 in the morning. I only got like 2 hours of sleep. I took a nap earlier, so I'm not really tired. But when I started thinking about the scenario of what she proposed happened when you died, which was your brain kind of creating a scenario for you that will last for all of eternity. Kind of like a massively long dream. But when I thought of that, then I thought, well, what if this happens? What if we die? And the scenario that our brain made up for us was actually this life. What if I'm already dead? And if I'm already dead, and this life is the scenario that my brain made up for me, well then, all of this is technically an illusion. But if all of this is an illusion, that means that in my previous life, I had to have believed in reincarnation, because I wouldn't have come back to the same place if I didn't. And if I do believe in reincarnation, that means that at the end of this time frame, which is all an illusion, I'll die again. Well, what happens when I die again? Is it going to be is it going to continue the same scenario that the first brain came up with, or is my brain now, is it going to come up with a separate scenario that's inside of the first one? And is it just going to keep going and going and going and going and going, like those pictures where they hold the mirrors facing each other and they just keep going on forever? Or, I mean, now think about this. Now what if I didn't believe in, when the first time I died, and my brain thought up that great illusion, well, what if I didn't believe in reincarnation? What if I believed in the same thing that I believe in now? And I believe that you would go to a higher state of consciousness. Well, that would mean that the life that I was in before, I was on a lower state of consciousness, and I've essentially moved up a plane through that strange scenario. Even though it was all in my head, I've still moved up in a level. So now what if when I get to the end of this plane, and I die, and I still think that, you know, if you learned everything that you should, you move up a level, well then I would die, and then my brain would create a new scenario, or maybe it would just continue the scenario from the first brain, and I would move up another level. And maybe that's how transcendence works. So maybe you're right. Both of ours could actually play in together if you thought about it right. It just trips me out. I can't watch movies like The Matrix. I was completely mind blown for like a week after watching that, and I haven't even tried to tackle Inception, so don't even ask me about that one. I know I'm going to be out of my brain for like 2 weeks if I watch that movie, but I have an issue with remaining where I am and not trying to go off and be philosophical for months at a time. But yeah, so that's what happened when I watched your video. And it was a quite fun little journey that I took myself on last night, trying to figure out and now I'm still kind of like, am I awake, or am I sleeping, or am I dead, or what's going on here? So you kind of tripped me out, but it's a kind of a fun way to think about it. So thanks for the video. I hope you like my response, and we'll talk to you later. Blessed be.